Leave. Now. This hotel is not for people like you." The words did not slip out. They landed, loud and deliberate, as if the marble floor itself had approved them. The Harborline Hotel sat on the edge of downtown Chicago, all glass and brass and quiet confidence. The lobby smelled faintly of citrus and polished wood. Soft piano music drifted from hidden speakers. People rolled carry-ons across the stone, checked watches, sipped coffee, and tried not to look at anyone too long. Behind the front desk stood Callum Price, the front office manager, mid-40s, crisp suit, clipped haircut, posture built out of entitlement. He had the look of a man who believed he owned the air in the room. In front of him stood a black woman in plain clothes, no suit, no heels, no flashy labels, just a charcoal hoodie, fitted jeans, clean trainers, and a calm face that did not ask for permission to exist. Callum looked at her once and decided she was a problem. He raised his voice so the lobby could hear, so the judgment could spread, so the moment could belong to him. "This is a premium property," he said. "If you are lost, I can direct you to somewhere more suitable." The woman did not blink. She did not flinch. She stood still, hands relaxed at her sides, as if she had done this dance before and already knew the steps. "My name is Naomi Sinclair," she said evenly. "I have a reservation, suite level, under Sinclair." Callum's mouth tightened into a smile that was not friendly. "Suite level," he repeated, like it was comedy. Two staff members stood near him behind the desk, watching her with the same rehearsed suspicion. Holly Mercer, early 30s, hair slicked into a neat bun, eyes sharp and eager to please, and Ravi Desai, late 20s, arms folded, jaw set, pretending he was above it while standing perfectly inside it. None of them offered her welcome. None of them asked how her journey was. They looked her up and down as if her clothes were a confession. Naomi slid her ID and card across the counter with 2 fingers. Calm, controlled. Callum picked them up like he did not want the card to touch his skin for too long. He stared at the name, Naomi Sinclair. Then he looked up again, scanning her face, trying to find the mismatch he had already decided existed. "This is unusual," he said, louder now. "Our suites are typically reserved for corporate clients and VIPs. Naomi's voice stayed low. "Then you should see a suite reservation on your screen." Callum did not check the screen. He did not need facts. He had chosen a story. He held the card between thumb and forefinger, turning it as if it might reveal a lie under the light. "Where did you get this?" he asked. Naomi's eyes stayed on his. "From my wallet." A couple by the lounge chairs paused their conversation. A man in a navy blazer slowed his steps near the lifts. A woman in athleisure, camera bag over her shoulder, lifted her phone slightly as if on instinct. Naomi took 1 step closer, not aggressive, just present. "I'm here for my room," she said. "Please check me in." Callum's smile turned colder. "We have an obligation to protect our guests," he said. "We see scams constantly. People claim bookings they do not have. Stolen cards, fake IDs. It is a pattern." Holly leaned forward, voice sweet as sugar, sharp as glass. "If you can't verify, we can't proceed." Ravi scoffed, too loud, too performative. "People show up dressed down, hoping we won't challenge them." Naomi let the sentence sit. Her face did not change, but something in the air did. A quiet tension that began to pull the lobby's attention toward the desk. The woman with the camera bag stepped closer, phone now fully raised. Her name was Talia Kim, a travel creator who made a living posting luxury hotel reviews and what not to do moments. She kept her voice low, but her phone was pointed straight at the desk. "This is going online," she murmured. The man in the navy blazer heard her and turned, eyes narrowing. He looked at Naomi's calm stance, at Callum's raised voice, at the card held like evidence. Another guest, an older woman with silver hair and a scarf wrapped neatly around her neck, paused mid-step and stared openly. Her lips parted like she was shocked by the lack of shame. Naomi stayed still. Callum leaned forward, lowering his voice as if that made it more legitimate. "Do you have another form of payment?" he asked. Naomi's tone did not shift. No, I have the card you're holding. Check me in. Callum's eyes flicked toward Holly. It was a look that said, do it. Holly reached beneath the desk and pressed a button. A chime sounded softly over the lobby speakers. Then, Holly's voice, amplified, crisp and confident. Security to reception. Possible unauthorized access attempt. Please respond. The word unauthorized echoed across the marble like a stamp. A few heads turned. A few phones rose. Talia's phone stayed steady, capturing it all. Naomi's eyes remained on Callum. You just called security on a guest who provided ID, a valid card and a reservation name. Callum shrugged as if it was routine. We will verify and proceed accordingly. Naomi's voice stayed even. Verify by checking the system. Callum finally glanced at the monitor, and his expression tightened for a fraction of a second. A flicker. Gone quickly, replaced by a smirk. He had seen the reservation. He'd seen the suite tag. He'd seen the VIP marker that was not supposed to be visible to guests. And instead of backing down, he doubled down because pride is louder than sense. This can be fabricated, he said. People hack confirmation emails. They create profiles. They show up expecting us to be too polite to question them. Naomi's eyes narrowed slightly, more focused than anger. You have no evidence of that. Callum lifted the card slightly, as if the gesture itself was power. We have instincts, he said. And we have standards, Ravi muttered, not quite under his breath. This is ridiculous. Talia's voice cut through the low buzz of the lobby, still filming. What's ridiculous is you treating her like a criminal. Callum snapped his head toward Talia. Ma'am, stop recording. Talia's expression did not change. No. The older woman in the scarf stepped closer, phone raised now too, and said softly, Don't you dare touch her. Callum's jaw set. He turned back to Naomi. Give me your card, he said, as if Naomi had not already done that. Naomi's voice stayed calm. You already have it. Return it after you check me in. Callum smiled again, this time with the confidence of a man who believed consequences were for other people. He turned to Ravi. Lock it, he said. Ravi's eyes widened slightly. Callum. Lock it, Callum repeated louder. Ravi hesitated, then reached under the desk and pulled open a drawer. Inside was a small steel lockbox, the kind used for guest valuables and lost property, the kind that looked official enough to intimidate anyone who did not know better. Ravi placed Naomi's card inside. Click. The lid shut. The sound was sharp. Final. Talia's phone zoomed in. The older woman in the scarf inhaled loudly. That's theft, a man near the lifts, now clearly listening, said. That is absolutely theft. Callum lifted his chin. It is hotel protocol. Naomi's voice stayed flat. No, it is not. Callum leaned forward again. This conversation is over. You are not staying here. Leave now before we escort you out. Naomi stared at him, and for a moment the room seemed to hold its breath. Then Naomi reached into her pocket, pulled out her phone, and tapped once. No dramatic speech, no pleading, just a single tap. Callum did not notice. Holly did. Her eyes flicked to Naomi's phone, then away, as if she was trying not to feel uneasy. Naomi put her phone back in her pocket and looked up. I'm going to give you one chance, she said. Return my card and check me in. Callum laughed once, short and harsh. Or what? Naomi's eyes stayed steady. Or you will learn what it costs to do this in public. Callum's smile widened as security approached from the far side of the lobby. A tall guard in black uniform, earpiece, professional posture. His name badge read, Marcus Dale. Marcus glanced at Naomi first, then at the staff behind the desk. What's the issue? He asked. Callum answered quickly. Fraud attempt. She's trying to access a suite. We've secured the card pending verification. Marcus looked at Naomi. Ma'am, do you have confirmation? Naomi nodded. Yes, reservation under Sinclair, suite. Callum cut in. She's refusing to comply with protocol. Naomi's voice stayed calm. Your protocol is not law. Return my property. Marcus looked at Callum. Do you have a reason to hold the card? Callum's eyes hardened. Instinct. and the fact she does not look like our suite guests." The sentence hung in the air like smoke. Phones rose higher, Talia's voice louder now. "He just said she doesn't look like a suite guest." The older woman in the scarf shook her head slowly, disgusted. "He said that out loud." Naomi's face did not change, but her voice sharpened just slightly. "Say it again," she told Callum. "Say it into the cameras." Callum blinked, then smirked. "I said what I said." Naomi nodded once as if that was all she needed. She reached for her phone again. "Rochelle," she said, voice calm, and she put the call on speaker. A woman's voice answered instantly, crisp and focused. "I'm here." Rochelle Park, Naomi's chief of staff. Naomi's eyes never left Callum. "We're live." Rochelle did not ask questions. "Understood. Logging starts now. Audio capture, front desk camera access, and staff badge activity. Timestamp every key sentence." Callum's smirk faltered. Holly's face went pale. Ravi swallowed hard. Marcus, the guard, shifted his weight slightly, suddenly more alert. Naomi's voice stayed calm. "Patch compliance," Rochelle replied. "Already connecting." Callum tried to recover. "This is ridiculous. You think calling someone will intimidate me?" Naomi did not respond to the insult. She waited. A new voice came through the speaker, clear, professional. "This is Harbor Line Compliance and Risk. This line is recorded. Identify yourself." Callum froze. Holly's eyes widened. Ravi stared at the counter like he wished it would swallow him. Naomi spoke evenly. "Naomi Sinclair. I am at the Harbor Line Hotel, Chicago. The front office manager has locked my payment card in a staff lockbox and is refusing to return it. I've provided ID and reservation name. He has called security and is attempting removal." The compliance officer did not sound surprised. That was the worst part. "Understood," the officer said. "Can you confirm the staff involved?" Naomi's gaze did not move. "Callum Price, Holly Mercer, Ravi Desai." Callum found his voice, desperate. "This is an internal matter. She is not who she claims to be." The compliance officer replied calmly. "Mr. Price, you are currently speaking over a recorded line. Do you understand that?" Callum's mouth opened, then shut. The compliance officer continued. "Ms. Sinclair, can you confirm the card is being held against your consent?" Naomi glanced once at the lockbox. "Confirmed." "Do you consent to staff retaining it for verification?" the officer asked. "No," Naomi said. There was a brief pause, then the compliance officer spoke, formal and final. "Understood. We are executing immediate credential suspension for involved staff pending investigation. Security is instructed to retrieve guest property now." Callum barked. "You can't do that. This is insane." The compliance officer did not rise to his emotion. "You are not authorized to hold guest payment instruments. You are not authorized to physically remove a guest without cause. Return the card." Marcus, the guard, looked at Callum. "Sir, open the lockbox." Callum's face reddened. "No, we need verification." Marcus did not back down. "Open it," Holly whispered. "Callum, stop." Ravi's hands trembled slightly. Callum looked around at the phones pointed at him, the guests watching, the guard waiting. He realized too late that his moment of power had turned into a room full of witnesses. He slammed a hand on the drawer, pulled the lockbox out, and snapped it open with shaking fingers. He grabbed the card and threw it toward Naomi across the counter like it was a dirty thing. Naomi caught it with one hand, calm as ever. She slid the card into her wallet without looking down. Then she looked back up. "You don't get to throw it," she said. "You don't get to decide when I deserve respect." Callum leaned forward, voice trembling with anger and embarrassment. "Who do you think you are?" Naomi's tone stayed even. "Someone you should have treated like a guest." The badge reader on the desk chirped suddenly. A small device that staff used to access the system. Ravi, almost on instinct, tapped his badge to it. Red light. A soft buzz that sounded like a door locking. Ravi's face drained. He tried again. Red. Holly lifted her badge, tapped it. Red. Callum stared at the reader, then slammed his badge onto it as if force could change reality. Red. The lobby murmured, low and satisfied, not because they loved drama, but because they recognized consequence. Callum snapped, "This is an error." The compliance officer's voice came through again, calm and unbothered. "Mr. Price, your credentials are now suspended. You are not authorized to access Harborline systems. Please step away from the front desk." Callum stared as if the words were physically pushing him backward. He tried to speak, but his voice broke. "This is illegal," the compliance officer replied. "Your actions will be assessed against company policy and local law. Remain where you are. Security will escort you away from operations." Marcus stepped closer to Callum. "Sir, step back." Callum looked at Naomi with a kind of hatred that was really fear. "You set this up," he spat. "You baited us." Naomi's face stayed calm. "No, I walked in. You chose to humiliate me without knowing who I was. That was your choice." A guest near the lift spoke up, voice steady. "He said she didn't belong." The older woman in the scarf nodded. "He said it loud." Talia spoke into her phone, still recording. "This is the moment. This is the turning point." Callum turned toward the crowd, voice pleading now. "This is a misunderstanding." Naomi finally let her voice sharpen. "It is not a misunderstanding," she said. "It is a pattern." She looked at Marcus. "I want the police here, not because I need saving, because I want an incident number, and I want statements." Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "Understood." Naomi spoke into the phone again. "Rochelle, call local police. Report stolen property and attempted removal. I want the incident logged properly." Rochelle's voice stayed crisp. "Already doing it. Officers en route. 2 minutes." Callum laughed again, broken and ugly. "Stolen property? It was in a lockbox." Naomi's reply was cold. "Without consent. Against law. In front of witnesses." Callum's eyes darted to Ravi. Tell them it was protocol." Ravi swallowed. He looked at Naomi. He looked at the phones. He looked at the older woman staring him down. His voice came out small. "Callum told me to lock it. I did it," Holly whispered. Ravi continued, "because once truth starts, it does not stop just because people want it to. I did not ask whether it was right. I just did it." Naomi nodded once. "Thank you for admitting it," Callum snapped. "Shut up." Naomi's eyes did not move. "Do not threaten your staff on a recorded line." Callum's shoulders slumped slightly, like a man realizing he had lost not just a moment, but a narrative. The compliance officer spoke again, firm. "Mr. Price, you are instructed to cease communication with staff and guests. Remain where you are. Do not approach the guest." Callum tried one more tactic. "Fine, then I will call corporate myself." Naomi's face did not change. "You're already speaking to them." The lobby let out a low ripple of sound, half shock, half satisfaction. Talia stepped slightly to the side to get a better angle, and her camera caught Naomi's face in clean light. Calm, unshaken, not performative. This was not a woman trying to win an argument. This was a woman letting a system reveal itself. The police arrived exactly when Rochelle said they would. 2 officers entered the lobby, not rushing, not dramatic, just professional. One of them, Officer Bennett, scanned the room, then approached Naomi first. "Ma'am," he said, "are you the complainant?" Naomi nodded. "Yes." Officer Bennett glanced at Marcus. "Security called us?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, staff locked her card away and attempted removal." The second officer, Officer Park, looked toward the desk. Callum stood behind it, pale now, sweat at his temple. Officer Bennett asked Naomi, "What happened?" Naomi spoke clearly, calmly, without exaggeration. She recounted the facts, the insults, the lockbox, the refusal to return her card, the physical grab, the attempt to escort her out. As she spoke, Talia's phone kept rolling. The older woman in the scarf stepped forward and offered, "I witnessed him lock her card away, and I heard what he said." The man in the navy blazer stepped closer too. "I'm happy to give a statement. He said she didn't look like a sweet guest." Officer Bennett nodded. "We'll take statements," Callum's voice cracked. This is ridiculous. She's causing a scene. Officer Park looked at him. Sir, step back. Callum snapped, I am the manager here. Officer Bennett replied, Not for this investigation, you're not. Naomi did not smile. She did not gloat. She watched the process happen because that was the point. Then Naomi turned slightly to face the guests, and her voice carried without shouting. If any of you have ever been mistreated here or ignored when you complained, you can speak now, she said. You will not be dismissed, not today. The room shifted again, because people heard something they did not expect. Permission. A woman near the check-in line, holding a toddler on her hip, raised her hand slightly like she was afraid to interrupt. I was here last year, she said. I checked in with my husband. They treated him like he was the client and me like I was staff. When I complained, I got an email that said they were sorry I felt that way. Her voice trembled with frustration that had been trapped too long. Naomi nodded. Thank you for saying it. A man with an ADA cane spoke next. I requested an accessible room. I was told none were available. Then a white couple arrived and got one immediately. I left. I never filed the complaint because I assumed nothing would happen. Naomi's gaze hardened. I'm sorry. Something will happen now. Another guest spoke, younger woman with a carry-on suitcase. My credit card was charged twice. I called for days. The person who answered sounded like they were annoyed I had called at all. Callum's face twitched. He recognized these voices. These were not random complaints. These were receipts. Holly backed away slightly, eyes darting between Naomi and the officers. Ravi swallowed hard and looked at the floor. Naomi listened, steady, taking it in, letting the lobby become what it should have been all along, a place where people could speak and be heard. Then Naomi turned toward the concierge stand. A young woman stood there, hands clenched, shoulders tense, watching everything like she was trying to decide whether courage was worth it. Her name tag read, Jade Alvarez, concierge trainee. Naomi met her eyes. Jade, Naomi said gently. Have you seen this before here? Jade flinched like she had been caught, then took a breath. Yes, she said quietly. The word was small, but it hit hard. Callum snapped, Jade, do not. Officer Bennett looked at Callum sharply. Sir, stop talking. Jade swallowed. Her voice shook at first, then steadied as she continued. I've watched guests get questioned like criminals while others get welcomed like family, she said. I've watched complaints get dismissed. I've watched staff learn how to do it from the top. Naomi's eyes narrowed slightly. From the top. Jade nodded. There's a training note Callum uses. He says it comes from regional. He tells us to protect the brand. He tells us to look for the right profile. The lobby went quiet. Talia's phone zoomed in. The older woman in the scarf whispered, Oh my God. Officer Bennett asked Jade, Do you have any proof of that? Jade hesitated, then nodded slowly. I kept a log, she said. Dates, times, guest names when I could. Complaints I heard. Complaints I saw ignored. I started it because I didn't want to feel crazy anymore. Callum's face went slack. Holly whispered, Jade. Naomi's voice stayed calm. Jade, you did the right thing. Jade's eyes filled slightly, but she did not cry. She just looked relieved that someone was finally saying it. Naomi spoke into the phone again. Rochelle, I need the log preserved immediately. Jade will provide it. We protect her. No retaliation. Rochelle replied instantly, already flagging. Her employment is now protected under whistleblower policy. Any retaliation triggers immediate termination. Callum's voice cracked, desperate. You can't do this. This is my career. Naomi looked at him with quiet contempt. You treated dignity like it was optional, she said. That is not a career. That is a liability. The compliance officer's voice came through again. Ms. Sinclair, we have full authority for immediate termination based on theft, discrimination risk, and physical contact on CCTV. Do you wish to proceed? Naomi did not hesitate. Yes, she said. Terminate Callum Price. Terminate Holly Mercer. Terminate Ravi Desai. Effective immediately. Remove access. Preserve all records. Begin audit. There was a beat of silence. Then, the compliance officer replied, formal. Confirmed. Terminations executed. System access revoked. Legal hold placed on relevant communications. The badge reader chirped again. Final. Callum stared at the reader like it had betrayed him. Holly's lips parted in disbelief. Ravi looked like he might be sick. Officer Bennett turned to Callum. Sir, you are no longer authorized to be behind that desk. Step to the side. Callum snapped. This is humiliation. Naomi's voice was ice. It is accountability. Callum's shoulders sagged. He looked around at the guests, the phones, the officers, the guard, the young trainee who had finally spoken. He had nowhere to place the blame that would stick. He tried one last move, voice hoarse. Why didn't you say who you were from the beginning? Naomi's reply was calm, and it cut clean through the noise. Because it should not require a title for you to treat someone like a guest. She took a step closer, not threatening, just unavoidable. I walked in like any other person. You had every chance to behave like a professional. The only thing I did not bring was privilege. Callum stared, and his eyes filled with a kind of rage that was really panic. You wanted this, he muttered. Naomi shook her head slightly. No, you wanted this. You wanted to feel powerful. You wanted an audience. You got one. Officer Park guided Callum away from the desk area. Holly followed, trembling. Ravi moved last, slower, shame heavy on his face. As they walked through the lobby, nobody clapped loudly. Nobody cheered. It was not a celebration. It was a reckoning. The guests watched them pass with the quiet focus people have when they see consequences they never believed would arrive. When the former staff reached the doors, Callum turned back one last time, eyes wild. This is overkill, he said, all because you felt insulted. Naomi's gaze did not move. It is not about my feelings. It is about your behavior. The doors closed behind them. The lobby exhaled. But Naomi did not relax. She did not soften. She did not act like the story was finished, because she knew the truth. One manager does not create a culture alone. She turned to Marcus. Please secure the front desk systems. Nobody touches a terminal until compliance confirms chain of custody. Marcus nodded. Yes, ma'am. Naomi looked at Officer Bennett. I want the incident number and witness statements. I want the body cam footage preserved. Officer Bennett nodded. We'll handle it. Naomi turned to the guests. I'm sorry you witnessed this, she said, and I'm grateful you didn't look away. The older woman in the scarf stepped forward and spoke softly. Thank you for staying calm. Most people would have broken. Naomi met her eyes. I have broken before. Not today. Talia lowered her phone slightly, voice quieter now. Are you really the owner? Naomi did not correct her. I founded the group. This hotel is part of it. Talia swallowed. They really thought. Naomi finished the thought without raising her voice. They thought plain clothes meant low value. Naomi looked back toward Jade, still standing near the concierge stand, face pale, eyes bright. Jade, Naomi said, come here. Jade stepped forward cautiously. Naomi's voice softened just enough to be human. You stood up when it was risky. That matters. Jade's voice trembled. I almost didn't. Naomi nodded. Most people almost don't. Naomi turned to Rochelle on speaker. I want Jade placed on paid administrative support status immediately. No shifts canceled, no schedule games. I want her protected. Rochelle replied, done. Naomi continued, and I want her promoted. Acting guest services lead for this property effective today. Interim period, then permanent review. Jade's eyes widened. Me? Naomi nodded. Yes, and you will not be alone. Compliance will be on site. Jade's mouth opened, then closed. She nodded slowly, as if she was afraid to believe it. Naomi faced the lobby again, voice clear. Here's what happens next, she said. We do not do a quiet apology and move on. We do not pretend this was one bad day. She paused, letting the room settle. We audit this property. We review the last 18 months of complaints. We compare what guests reported to what management recorded. We find what was buried. People listened like they were thirsty. Naomi continued. If you complained and were ignored, you will hear from us, not from a generic email, from a real person. A man with a cane nodded slowly. The woman with the toddler exhaled like she had been holding tension in her shoulders for a year. Naomi spoke into her phone again. Rochelle, I want on-site compliance within the hour. I want an independent firm scheduled for training. No grandfather clauses. Everyone recertifies. Rochelle replied, already arranging. Naomi turned slightly, eyes scanning the lobby. She saw the polished surface, the glossy branding, the expensive quiet. Then she saw what it had been used for. A gate, a filter, a place where people were made to feel small. Naomi's voice lowered, but carried. This industry tells people to smile and call it hospitality, she said. But hospitality does not begin with the smile you give. It begins with the respect you assume. The sentence landed differently than a slogan, because the lobby had just watched what happens when respect is withheld. Officer Bennett returned with a small notepad. Ma'am, we have the incident number. We're taking statements now. Naomi nodded. Thank you. As witnesses stepped forward, Naomi listened. She did not interrupt. She did not rush. She let the truth build its own weight. And while the officers worked, Naomi stood near the center of the lobby, composed, the phone still recording, the narrative no longer in Callum's hands. Rochelle spoke through the phone again, quieter now. Naomi, she said, we pulled archived complaint records for this property. Naomi's eyes narrowed. What do you see? Rochelle exhaled. We see false summaries, complaints marked resolved that were never investigated. Several are about profiling at check-in. Several mention Callum by name. Naomi's jaw tightened. Who signed them off? Rochelle paused. Regional oversight, a director named Graham Whitlock. He retired 3 months ago. Naomi's gaze went distant for a moment, memory pulling her backward. When Naomi was 16, she had been waiting in a hotel lobby in Charlotte, dressed neatly, hands folded, trying to look like she belonged because she had learned early that belonging was treated like a costume. Her parents had been delayed. She had sat quietly on a leather chair near a fountain, eyes down, trying to take up as little space as possible. A staff member had approached and said, "This area is for guests only." Naomi had tried to explain. The staff member did not listen. She had been escorted outside like she was loitering, like she was trouble. She had stood on the pavement holding her small bag, cheeks burning, watching strangers walk past her as if she was invisible. That shame had tried to lodge itself in her bones. It did not make her small. It made her sharp. Now, standing in the Harbor Line lobby, Naomi breathed slowly and came back to the present. Graham Whitlock, she repeated. Retired. Rochelle's voice tightened. We're also finding training language repeated across properties, notes that encourage staff to prioritize the right profile. It is not on paper officially, but it shows up in internal memos. Naomi's voice dropped. He taught them, Rochelle replied. It looks like it. Naomi looked at Jade again. Jade stood near the desk now, assisting the officers, hands steady, shoulders straighter than before. Naomi spoke into the phone. Rochelle, we are not limiting this to Chicago. Rochelle did not hesitate. I know, Naomi continued, voice firm. We do a full network review. Every property, every complaint, every manager trained under Whitlock's era, we find the pattern. Rochelle replied, Understood. Naomi turned to the guests once more. I need to be clear, she said. This did not happen because one man had a bad attitude. She gestured slightly toward the front desk, toward the badge reader that still glowed red in silent consequence. This happens when a system rewards the wrong people, when bias hides behind the word protocol, when complaints get rewritten, when staff learn that disrespect is safe. She paused. That ends now. Talia lowered her phone and swallowed. Can I ask you something? She said. Naomi nodded. Talia's voice was quieter. Why didn't you lose it? Why didn't you shout? Naomi looked at her with calm truth. Because shouting would have made them comfortable. They wanted me to be emotional. They wanted a story where I looked unstable. She looked toward the doors where Callum had left. I gave them no escape. A guest near the lounge chairs nodded, murmuring, That's exactly it. The statements continued. The officers took notes. Marcus stayed near the desk, making sure staff did not touch systems. Naomi moved through the lobby slowly, listening, watching, absorbing. A woman approached Naomi hesitantly, mid-30s business attire, eyes tired. I work in HR, she said softly. Not for your company, somewhere else. I just want to say this matters. People always apologize after the fact. They never do anything in the moment. Naomi nodded. The moment is where it counts. The woman asked, What happens to Jade? Naomi looked toward Jade and replied, Jade is protected, and Jade will not be punished for telling the truth. The woman exhaled, relief in her face. As the lobby settled, Naomi spoke again, quieter now, more reflective. You know what's dangerous, she said, not to anyone specific. Not the loud prejudice, the quiet one, the one that gets called standards, the one that never gets written down, the one that lets people sleep at night. Talia's phone was still recording, and Naomi did not stop her. Naomi wanted it seen, because silence is what protects systems like this. Later, when the officers finished, Naomi stood at the front desk with Jade beside her. Naomi pointed gently to the monitor. Jade, can you pull up my reservation? Jade nodded, hands steady, and navigated the system. There, Jade said. Suite reservation, Sinclair, VIP marker. Naomi nodded. And did you see it earlier today? Jade hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I saw it this morning. I knew the name. I should have spoken sooner. Naomi turned to her. You spoke when it mattered, and you spoke in a way that created evidence. That takes courage. Jade swallowed hard. I was scared. Naomi nodded. So was I, the first time I got escorted out of a lobby for existing. Jade's eyes widened. That happened to you? Naomi's gaze stayed calm. More than once. Jade looked down, anger flickering behind her eyes. Naomi continued, voice soft but firm. The difference today is that I did not leave. She looked at the guests again, many still lingering, still processing. And you didn't leave either, Naomi told them. The older woman in the scarf smiled faintly. We're tired of leaving. Naomi nodded. Me too. As the last guests drifted away, Naomi stood in the center of the lobby once more. The piano music had stopped. The air felt different, cleaner, like the building had exhaled something toxic. Rochelle's voice came through the phone again. Naomi, she said, media is picking this up. People are tagging the hotel. There are clips everywhere. Naomi replied, Let it spread. Rochelle hesitated. We can craft a statement. Naomi's voice stayed steady. No PR fluff, truth only. We do not hide. We act. Rochelle replied, Understood. Naomi looked at the badge reader again, the red light still visible, and she felt no joy in it, only relief. Not because she enjoyed people losing jobs, because she was exhausted of watching people keep them after proving they did not deserve them. Naomi stepped closer to Jade. I'm going to say something, Naomi told her, and I want you to remember it. Jade nodded. Naomi's voice was quiet, but it carried. Leadership is not protecting the brand. Leadership is protecting people from the brand when the brand is used as a weapon. Jade swallowed, eyes bright. I'll remember. Naomi nodded. Then Naomi did what Callum never expected. She turned toward the desk and began helping. She did not stand above it like a queen. She stood beside it like a builder. She answered questions. She listened to complaints. She took notes. She watched how staff spoke. She watched who got greeted and who got stared at. She made it impossible for anyone to pretend again. Weeks later, the audit began to reveal what Naomi already suspected. Complaints had been rewritten, incidents had been minimized. Language like guest seemed aggressive was used for people who had simply asked for fairness. Reservations were accidentally canceled. IDs were misread, patterns that looked like mistakes until you lined them up and saw the shape. Naomi did not announce it with drama. She sent direct notices. She removed managers quietly and properly. She reinstated staff who had been punished for speaking up. She issued refunds and compensation to guests who had been wronged, not as hush money, but as acknowledgement. And Jade was not just promoted. She was trained, supported, and protected. Because the point of exposing a system is not to create a hero moment, it is to create a new reality. 3 months later, the Harbor Line Hotel Chicago still gleamed. The marble still shone. The brass still caught the light, but the lobby no longer felt like a test. Near the front desk, a simple plaque was mounted, not flashy, not performative. It read, "This space belongs to every guest. No exceptions." Guests walked in wearing whatever they wore, arriving however they arrived, and nobody asked them to prove they deserved comfort. Jade stood behind the desk now, posture confident, voice warm, eyes alert for the right reasons. And one evening, as Naomi walked through the lobby again, not in a hoodie this time, just in a simple coat, Jade looked up and smiled. Naomi nodded back, a quiet exchange. Not celebration, confirmation. That the building had changed, that the culture had shifted, that the door was no longer guarded by ego. As Naomi stepped toward the exit, Rochelle's voice came through her phone one more time, low and urgent. "Naomi," she said, "we found Whitlock's notes." Naomi stopped. "What do they say?" she asked. Rochelle exhaled. "They outline a profile approach. They instruct managers to deprioritize certain guests without putting it on paper. They call it brand protection." Naomi's eyes narrowed. Rochelle continued. "It's bigger than Chicago. It's 3 properties, same language, same training." Naomi's voice was calm but cold. "Then we dig up the root," Rochelle replied. "We're ready." Naomi looked back at the lobby for a moment, at the travelers, the families, the quiet movement. She thought about the girl she once was, standing on a pavement outside a hotel, cheeks burning, learning that dignity was treated like a privilege. Then she thought about the woman she was now, the one who had refused to leave, the one who had turned witnesses into proof, the one who had forced a system to show its face. And she knew the real lesson was not about power, it was about visibility. Cruelty loves privacy. Bias loves silence. Systems like that survive when good people look away. But the moment people stop pretending they didn't see it, everything changes. So here's the question. If you were in that lobby, would you have filmed it, stepped in, or stayed quiet? Tell me in the comments, and remember this. Hospitality does not begin with the smile you give. It begins with the respect you assume. Because the day respect becomes conditional is the day any of us can be treated like we don't belong.